The takedown, ground and pound, that was from the top. Heel hooking on more plot, I leave you in the knot. Pound for pound, been the greatest. Sitting on the top, man, I'm laughing at the fools who think they coming for the spot. You ain't got a fucking shot, it's already mine. You can't never fucking stop, you know I stay on the grind. Broken bones and black eyes, they just part of the life. Haymaker, MMA, we taking over your mics. No sleeping, bloody knuckles. It's nothing to the hustle. I'll be fighting till I die. Every day is still a struggle. I made it out the rubble. My knees ain't never buckle. I came here for a fight, but I'm ready for a rumble. So you gotta feel the chaos we've been leaving behind. Cause ain't nothing going down that I didn't design. But it's time to start the show, so extinguish the flame. Hey, make it MMA, we going straight for your brain. Yeah.
And welcome back to Haymaker MMA. I'm your host, EJ Reed, also joined by Aaron Admire, Steve Johnson, producer Jay behind the scenes. Fellas, how's it going?
I'm tired.
Yeah, you had
a weekend.
Yeah, you just coming back in from Colorado, man. How'd the trip go?
Good trip. Flew out Friday afternoon, hung out with my family out there, partied, played pool till like 2 a.m. Friday night. Woke up early Saturday, went for a walk so I could, just get good views of the mountains. Hung out with Joey for a little bit, got to finally meet him in person. Party was last night. We partied, watched hockey, played pool, then we watched the fights, and I left there 9:30 this morning, had like an hour and a half ride to the airport, dicked around there, and landed back here at 4 o'clock. So I'm fresh off the airplane and ordered me a pizza, and I'm gonna be lazy after this.
Shout out to Joey DeLorme. You had an action-packed weekend. How is it in Colorado during the summer? I feel like it's probably a different vibe because you always think of snow when it comes to Colorado.
Yeah, it's different, man. You always think of Colorado as either snow or just like nice weather in the summer. Like it was like nonstop rain and thunderstorms. Like it would thunderstorm every other hour. Like it would clear up, sun would come out, and then boom, thunderstorm. But it was about 70 degrees. But it's so different out there because the elevation's so high. You're closer to the sun. So it's 6 a.m. when the sun's coming up. That sun's fucking hot, man.
Yeah.
Like
what
like
was
60
high?
degrees feels hot in the sun.
Yeah. So that was the high? Was it like in the 60s?
Yeah, high 60s most of the time. Yeah.
Man. Is it all the, because it's a mile high, is that like, is there any hype behind that? Because everybody always talks about the elevation when you go to Colorado.
Dude, I always thought that fighters talking about like the elevation and the breathing and stuff, I was like, it kind of sounds like an excuse. Dude, when I went for my walk, 20 minutes in, I was gassed, just sucking air. And I didn't jog, nothing, just walking. That air is different out there. So I can sympathize with them now, and I was wrong.
That's what's up. Yeah, I want to go out to Colorado, man. I got a friend out there. I think he's in Colorado Springs. It's
Yep, that's where I was, Colorado Springs.
Yeah, it's always been on my list of things to do, places to go. How about you, Steven? I know you had to work this weekend. How was your weekend?
Yeah, I had to do that, but I guess the plus of my weekend is it's probably been years since I was able to have my kids. They went over to my neighbors as a sleepover.
Mm-hmm.
So I was left with one kid, so I was able to enjoy, without interruptions, the card. So that's pretty good.
That's what's up. So before we get into the card, I just want to talk a little bit about my view and experience. So for some reason, I decided to actually go and watch the fight at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's the first time I've been there probably in 2.5 years or so, because I usually just watch it at my place. So when I got to the place, sat down, got my menu, I went for the prelims. They got DirecTV there. It was raining a little bit, and they had no signal.
Oh, shit.
For like the first 15, 20 minutes I was there. So I'm like, all right, this must be a sign. And so I finished watching the rest of the prelims, and like right before it was the Chris Curtis fight, I'm like, let me get back to Go Box. I'm watching the rest of the main card at home, because if this happens again during the main card, I'm gonna be livid. So I got my to-go box and just end up watching the main card back home. I'm like, this must be a sign I don't need to be out here watching it at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, take that sign.
Yeah, but let's get into it though, man. UFC 289 this past weekend. On paper, it didn't seem like the most exciting card, but ended up being a pretty decent card. We'll start with the prelims and the early prelims result. You had Diana Belbita defeating Maria Oliveira by decision. Steven Urseg defeating David Dvorak by decision. Kyle Nelson going to the regular prelims. We had Kyle Nelson beating Blake Builder by decision. Ayman Zahabi beating Archie Lang by KO.
Nice one too.
Jasmine Yazduvicius defeating Miranda Maverick by decision, and then the Nasruddin Imavov defeating Chris Curtis. No contest. I know, Adma, I know you were busy. I don't know if you got to see any of the prelims. Anything on the prelim stand out to you, Steve? Did you get to watch him?
Yeah, I did get to watch him. Let's see. Like I said, the Curtis one was a bummer. Let's see. I'm trying to pull up the list right now.
I know one thing that caught my eye because you were raving about the guy on the preview show, Ayman Zahabi starching Archie Lang.
Yeah, and it was very clever as far as the sing. I think he grabbed a leg and then went over with a punch. I don't think that dude didn't see it coming and just knocked him out cold.
Yeah,
Man.
they were only like 5-6 strikes into the fight, and I hope I have high hopes for Zahabi just because of the connection he has with Faris Zahabi, the coach up there at TriStar. He's trained multiple champions, so I got high hopes.
Yeah, and the way they train, where I saw a few, I think he has a YouTube channel, clever ways to get takedowns and stuff, and that seemed like his brother's work as far as teaching him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty exciting seeing where he goes forward from this fight. I mean, what a way to put yourself on the map. That was on ESPN, so let's see if he could progress some more and with some higher competition in the future. What about the disappointing result in the Imavov Chris Curtis fight?
Yeah, that's the second fight in a row for Curtis that he's got headbutted. It's unfortunate. Yeah. I think they should run it back. Anytime that there's something like that it's an accidental, headbutt, I think they should run it back. Let them find out for sure.
Yeah, it was very contesting, and as far as the looks of it, as far as what the commenters are saying, they're saying Curtis was winning. So it wasn't like he was trying to, not even saying it's even relevant. It's not like he was trying to find his way out the fight. I mean, if you ever played another sport and just you didn't see somebody got blindsided on the side of the face, I mean, that makes you dizzy. So I'm pretty sure, and he couldn't see, and it was on the eye. I mean, if you ever had any damage on the eye, it takes a good while to get good, like 15, 20 minutes probably.
Yeah. I didn't watch the prelims, but I was just reading the highlights on the prelims and trying to catch some clips before the show. And you said that the commentators were talking about Curtis was winning. Just looking at the numbers from it, though, it looks like Curtis didn't land that many strikes. I mean, he landed half as many. Looks like he got taken down 3 times. So I mean, if you watched it, like how was Curtis winning if his striking and he got taken down so many times?
Right.
Because I heard the same thing, Steve, that Curtis was winning, and I was like kind of halfway eating my food and watching the fight at the same time. But it seemed like Curtis was more of the aggressor of the fight.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't know he was gonna look that small. Like that dude looked like almost a weight class bigger. Is how he did look smaller, but saying that his fight plan, he had to get inside. I think he was the aggressor.
Yeah, And
well, yeah.
it's unfortunate about the headbutt, like you were saying. Maybe they'll run it back. A lot of times when you have a contest end like that, a lot of times they don't even get to run it back because other things happen, injuries
Yeah,
happen, or the timing is off. So that's just bad luck for Chris Curtis. Maybe he needs to get away from Sean Strickland because he getting headbutt. Maybe that's a a result of his training partner, his training.
if you look at it, they got the same style, that trying to keep that Philly shell and trying to, bait encounters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Chris Curtis he's what, like 35, so the time is ticking for him to get that breakthrough. So maybe we have better luck with his next fight. Yeah, with that being said, let's get into the main card. You had Marc-Andre Barriault defeating your boy Eric Anders, decision. First round, Anders got clipped early with the straight right, but he kind of weathered the storm. In the second round, there was a lot of dirty boxing, a lot of back and forth. But it's not too much action. But then those two nut shots that happened in the fight. I don't know. I don't know if I don't even know what to say about those nut shots.
Yeah, that probably took some stamina away.
Yeah, but what is y'all overall impression of the fight?
I mean, one of my takeaways from it is whenever they have a Canadian card, the Canadian fighters come, man. They take that shit serious. Like they're like, you're in our country, we're fucking bringing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Eric Anders, he's I think I bet on him.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
did.
But from what I said, man, he athletic, tries to weather the storm and keeps on coming. But lately he's coming up short. And if I'm not mistaken, how many losses is this in a row loss? 2 or 3?
That
Yeah.
I have to pull up really quickly. So with Anders, I think he's like coming off of, okay, so he won his last one, but lost his last two. So this is a loss for him. Then he won one, and then he lost the previous two. So then he won one before that, and then he had a no contest. So he's all over the place with his like win-loss record.
He's an exciting, in most exciting fights, but as far as Dana and seeing what your worth is, you don't keep the UFC job by just not winning or just being up and down and iffy. Hopefully he can get some wins in because he sees he has maybe the potential we see he already has. Maybe that's the highest he can go, and maybe it's UFC. It's not the time for him is over. Maybe go to another promotion because he keeps on getting beat in tough fights like that and not going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe, maybe he might get cut, he might not, but maybe going over to like Bellator or PFL, maybe that might be a better home for him.
Mm-hmm.
Rack up some wins somewhere else and come back, build up some momentum and sharpen his skills.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, how many more chances can you give this guy? I mean, like Steve said, he's athletic dude, but can never string a significant win streak. They've given him plenty of chances. He's a former football player, and I say you got to keep this guy off the pay-per-view. Like, he's a perfect guy that you put on a fight night card.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
He could have been a curtain jerker of a fight night, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and if that doesn't work out, like Admire said, he might need to go to the PFL or Bellator. I can see him doing like bare knuckle boxing for some reason.
I could see
That'd be
it.
fun to see him over there. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But only only certain people are built for that. So who knows if he has it in his heart to do bare knuckle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that
Yeah,
takes us
that's a brutal game.
yeah, exactly. That they'll take us to the next fight. Yeah, Dan Ige defeating Nate Landwehr by decision. The first round was kind of like a feeling out round, and Ige won. Then Ige landed some big shots and dropped him with that big left hand at the end of the second round, and then kind of pretty much coasted for the rest of the fight. Big win for Ige. Like we were talking about on the preview show, he's one of those guys that but he hasn't really cracked the upper echelon of that featherweight division. What are y'all thoughts of the fight?
Yeah, he throws heavy fists, man. He looked real good. Of course, I did not pick him. I picked Nate Landwehr. Landwehr was on a pretty good little winning streak too. He did look very good in that. I mean, they were very close as far as the stats go. I mean, they both landed, about 50% of their strikes. And Landwehr went for quite a few takedowns, but couldn't really, commit and get them done.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Ige take a good step up in competition just to really see where he's at.
definitely. I can see him fighting somebody top 10. Him rewarded this win. I think he deserves maybe number 10 because Nate Landwehr came up to take his spot, and that was his chance. So I think that should be the fair thing to do. And it was he put good combos together and didn't really seem hurt or compromised at all through the fight. So I think he should have a step up in competition, like Admire said.
Yeah, he was very in control of it. Get him up there with somebody like, I always throw out the name the Korean Zombie, or maybe a Brian Ortega.
But he lost the Korean Zombie back in 2021.
That's old news, man. Let him run it.
You were saying Brian Ortega. I don't think he's fought him. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
This is 2 wins in a row for EA. So yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. We all know T City. He's got that jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what's up next for Ige. Keep an eye out on him because featherweight's a stacked division, so they always have exciting fights in that division. Takes us to the next fight. Another Canadian, like Amar was talking about, Mike Malott defeating Adam Fugit by submission. He hurt him badly and then jumped on him with that mountain guillotine. It looked like that dude's head was about to pop off.
Yeah, that was a tight one, and he was tapping, and Malott just let go. He knew he was tapping, and he had the win. A lot of the fighters hold on to it, but he kind of let go as soon as he knew that he looked good as well. He looked real good.
If I can replay the episode, I swear I could, if I can remember the last things I said explaining Mike Malott was his guillotine. Because I remember seeing his highlights and stuff like that. So and I was right. It's like he's one of those fighters that it's like when you see them when they throw a punch, they mean intent, and when you see him put that guillotine on, it's like he's trying to
Yeah, I think you compared him to John Jones maybe when we were talking about it, kind of like how Jones did with Machida. Just
he puts a lot of pressure on the neck when I saw his fight. So I saw maybe that's one of his possibilities to win, and he's a intense striker. You get what I'm saying? Throws with intensity and not just. I feel like there's a difference between strikers. You got those real intense trying to hurt you, and then you got those fluid ones that can crack you just with technique, And he throws a little intent in his punches, and I think he got that guillotine from hurting him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, it was exciting. I didn't expect for the finish to come when it came, but I think it was, we'll talk about that fight next, but, one of the few submissions or finishes in general on this card, and I was highly entertained. But that takes us into the meat of the card where I feel like people came out to actually watch.
Yeah.
Charles do Bronx Oliveira defeating Beneil Dariush, TKO. So Oliveira came out hot at the beginning of that first round with the head kick, and then the fight kind of settled down, and they got in the clinch, and then Dariush got that takedown and controlled Oliveira for, pretty much the remaining of the first round until they finally got back up to the feet, and then Oliveira started teeing off. Head kick, that right hook, and then grounded pound, and it was over.
Yeah. I think Dariush, I think he came out hot, and I think he got winded around 3 minutes. Like, they was both fighting fast, but I think Dariush was just full speed and just gassed out around 3 minutes because he was going, and then he just slowed down. And then, Charles Oliveira, what I like about him so much is when he's on the bottom and on his back, he's still throwing lead. I mean, a lot of guys will just chill and try to get out from the bottom or, just throw some strikes so they're not getting the submission attempts. And Oliveira he's nasty from the bottom with his striking.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He was trying to catch him with, I think it was, I don't think it would matter significantly, but he was throwing like a little 6 to 12 to 6s trying to catch him or trying to hit him on the side. And, figuring out those really hurt, looking at Tony Ferguson, or you can cut him very easily. So I agree with you. And also, like I said, if Oliveira gets hurt or mentally, I guess jiu-jitsu or maybe wrestling, you feel some type of way, they took him down or something. You saw Charles get up with intensity and almost go in ultra instinct mode and focus, almost like every time he gets hit or gets taken down, it's almost like he focuses and gets the job done. And he did it. And I knew he wouldn't be playing around because I really feel that he didn't like that loss to Islam.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been watching Oliveira fight for years, and his game has changed so much from, years ago. Like Cerrone beat him, several years ago, and Oliveira didn't look like a guy that was going to stick around. And then it's like all of a sudden he changed his whole game plan and his style. And he does, like you mentioned, if you land something on him, it's like it pisses him off. And he's like, okay, I've got to focus and I've got to take control of this. And he's very good at that. I don't know if he's going to be good enough to, beat Islam, but, Charles Oliveira is probably going to be the number 2 for a long time. I don't really see a lot of people that's going to give him problems. I don't think, a lot of them would be rematches, but I don't think Poirier or Gaethje, Chandler, I don't think they can beat him.
Right. Or maybe somebody out there, but I'm not interested to see it again necessarily the way they lost too. Maybe Gaethje, I give it a chance because he hurt him, but Gaethje lost the same way he did to Khabib, and keeps getting choked out. So every time he gets to the top, so I don't know.
Yeah, so let's get into that a little bit. What do you do with Oliveira? You give him Makhachev again, right, immediately, or because like y'all said, Oliveira's pretty much beat everybody in the lightweight division, so he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because that was Makhachev's last win was over Oliveira, and you think Makhachev would want to run that back right now?
I don't think Oliveira's ready. I don't think he's ready to run it again. My first instinct is, well, can he move up? Can he move down? But Oliveira's like the perfect 155er that he would be cutting too much to get to 145. I think he would be a little undersized at welterweight. I mean, there's probably some guys in the 5 to 15 rankings in welterweight he could hang with, but I don't think that's where he's going to be. I don't think he's going to have the same success at welterweight. So he's got to stay at lightweight, but you got that beast at the top named Islam. Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah. I think they're both stuck in a hard place. Once you think of what you said. I mean, uh, Islam, I don't think that he doesn't want to go to no welterweight. Those are big dudes. And Charles Oliveira, not necessarily him either, because he's not that big of a welterweight. We're talking about Kamaru Usman's body against Charles Oliveira's body. Total difference in muscle mass. I think they both, or unless Charles Oliveira doesn't want to, a warm up fight. But I I think they already antagonized each other on Facebook or whatever platform, Twitter, um, saying and acknowledging each other. So I think they might run it back.
So
Yeah.
what do you do with the winner of Gaethje and Poirier next month? Because
That's
neither
probably
of
the
them
best.
have faced Makhachev yet.
That's a
I
good
know
question.
the winner that I think is supposed to fight. I mean, if I remember right, I thought the winner of that was supposed to fight Makachev.
That makes more sense because he hasn't fought any of those dudes yet. It's been Habib that fought those two dudes, and they're similar styles, and they basically
Yeah.
not blood related, but they're pretty much brothers.
Plus
Give.
that. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Plus that entryway, I think, is more fresher anyway. Instead of just interjecting him back into the championship, let's see how this plays out and let Charles Oliveira fight after that.
Yeah. Give Charles Oliveira. Give him the loser of Gaethje Poirier, and that'll be a number one contender. And the winner of Gaethje Poirier gets to fight Islam.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. You
Mm.
actually said exactly what I was thinking about. It kind of sucks for Oliveira because he beat Gaethje and Poirier, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes because he already beat those two dudes, and these two dudes hadn't got their shot at Makhachev. It's just a circumstance of who the champion is, even though Oliveira is probably clearly the number two dude in the division, just behind Makhachev.
I got a
I
crazy idea.
What's
What
that?
about Charles Oliveira fighting the winner of Chandler McGregor?
We don't know when that's going to happen. They say Dana White saying that might not even happen before the end of the year is up.
I heard it was going to be somewhere like October, November, but could be wrong. But the McGregor Chandler fight has to have some kind of title implication as well. Chandler's been up in the top 5 for a while. McGregor, he has been champ, and they gift him whatever he wants. So they're going to be bidding for a title fight too. Maybe this is the perfect time for a lightweight tournament.
Mhm.
For some
They won't
reason,
do it.
Yeah, for some reason Dana White doesn't like doing tournaments, but I think tournaments are fun. I
Mhm.
mean, McGregor hasn't been fighting frequently. I don't even know if he's still ranked, but Chandler's always lingering around that top 5. But I don't know if Oliveira want to wait that long because, like you said, the earliest they would fight is probably November. Then you have to wait another 5-6 months, depending on who wins. Chandler probably could get back in there pretty fast, but Conor is going to take his time. So I think the better route would be, like what you said first, would be to try to fight the loser of Gaethje and Poirier, and then see how that plays out.
And Oliveira shouldn't have a problem with that because he's already beat them both. So, I mean, technically, doing the math, he should beat them again. So it's kind of just a free paycheck, a tune-up fight for him, just keeping him on ice until, he can get the title shot. But I think Islam's going to be up there for a while. Such a tough dude, hard to beat. Oliveira's going to have to, I don't know what he can do to his style to change that unless, get slippery with his jujitsu, because Islam's going to take him down. It's just how do you keep Islam from just ragdolling you on the ground?
Mhm.
Yeah. Also, Oliveira, I think he came in at 154, so he clearly made lightweight easily. He used to fight at featherweight. Maybe he could try giving that another shot. Him versus Volkanovski. I wouldn't be mad at that.
wouldn't be mad at it, but I wonder if he could still cut that. I mean, I think the weight cuts were pretty hard on him at 45.
They were, but nobody thought Aldo would be able to get down to 135 because he could barely make featherweight all that time. And there's always, when he was in his prime, chats about him going up to 155, but he was able to cut down to 135 towards the end of his career. So who knows?
Yeah, and they got that rehydration clause now too, that they can't gain more than like 10% of their weight back. Oliveira would have to stay, pretty low in weight if he cut to 145. He has to be within 10% by fight night, I think, the new rule.
UFC started this rehydration clause too?
Yeah, I think they started that about a year ago, that you couldn't gain more than 10% back or something like that. I'm pretty sure.
Man, that's got to force a lot of people out of their division.
Yeah.
Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure they did.
You're probably right, but I didn't get to read up on that. That's kind of I feel like that's kind of hampering your fighters. Like, if you can make the weight, you should be able to. I don't know. Maybe it's for their health. I'm not a dietitian or a health expert.
Yeah, I can see it's probably for the health. Have a data 5,000 situation.
Yeah, that mess of a situation.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking. I know there's rehydration clauses in boxing, but I swear there was something in MMA within the last year that they started doing that. Somebody was doing it.
I know certain boxers do put that in their contracts because it's a free fall as far as like promotions and stuff, and they tailor it fight by fight. But I don't know. Maybe it is something new. I'll keep an eye out on that. But that takes us into our main event. So before we talk about the aftermath and stuff like that, let's actually talk about the actual fight. Nunes pretty much did what she wanted. That first round was kind of a feeling out round, a lot of jabs and kick by Nunes. Aldana probably with her only significant hit was at the end of that first round with that right hook. Second round, pretty much a sparring session. Nunes got the late takedown. Third round, pretty much the same. Nunes did what she wanted, got the takedown in the middle of the third round. And then a big elbow by Nunes at the beginning of the fourth round and was picking her apart. Then earlier that fifth round, got the takedown early, pretty much controlled her for the rest of the fight. It was basically pretty much a 5-round sparring session by Amanda Nunes and got the decisive victory. She looked good. What were your thoughts of the actual fight before we get into the aftermath?
Yeah, exactly. I thought Amanda Nunes looked just like it was just a day of sparring for her. I was, like you mentioned at the end of the first round, that Aldana did land that right hook, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe the fight changes there. It didn't change. And I felt like Nunes could have pulled the trigger any time and ended that fight when she wanted. I mean, it was so one-sided.
It definitely was. We seen Irene had potential to catch Nunes. And what I think, which I know Amanda Nunes is the more skillful, more powerful fighter, but she got caught. And based off of how Irene was fighting, I could just say stage fright. She got stage fright. She almost got in her sparring mode just to not get hurt. If that makes sense, throw a few there and we saw Amanda just controlling the whole sparring session, and it's almost like when boxers or MMA people pay somebody to not hurt the fighter, you know what I'm saying? That's how Irene was fighting. Like, you didn't pull the trigger or nothing, and even her corner was even saying that. So hey, hands up for Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, Irene looked really stiff too. She was standing real tall a lot of the fight, and I don't think that's one thing you want to do because Nunes, I mean, just puts those combos together so great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it seemed like you two were saying, it seemed like Aldana was just afraid to pull the trigger. Like, she didn't even belong there. Like, she had a little bit of stage fright or something like that. It was kind of odd how timid she was being in, the spotlight in the title fight. I don't know.
let me say this. Amanda Nunes is leaving MMA. It kind of puts a stain on that division because now anybody else there, we're not even going to think they're the real ones, sort of like a John Jones effect, right? And we sort of have to wait for the next rising star in bantamweight to even consider them, or the one that has a much pull to even consider them the next highlighter goated person in bantamweight MMA, women's MMA, because she beat them all, So whoever gets it is going to be like,
It's still going to be 1B.
It's like you are good at this moment, but if Amanda Nunes even came back now, the way she left, she could still get beat. So we have to wait for another significant women fighter, and that I think that leaves a stain on bantamweight, women's bantamweight.
So let's get into that now, since you brought that up. So after the fight, she cuts the gloves off, lays both of the belts down. She retired in the middle of the ring. So what is her legacy on the sport of MMA in general and women's MMA? And do you think that this retirement sticks?
I mean, she's the GOAT of women's MMA. Like her, she's avenged her losses. She's won in dominant fashion. She's beat everybody from top to bottom. She's never ran from anybody. She's fought anybody they put in front of her. She has nothing left right now, but I do think she will be back. I think she waits 2 years, lets the division shake out, and then comes back and, she should get an automatic title shot if she decides to come back. And I think that's what's going to happen. Maybe not, but I just think that's where it's going to happen. We see a lot of people that retire do that when they're at the top. They come back in a couple years later after things shake out.
Mm-hmm. Like Cejudo almost. He waited till who else somebody new and significant they could fight. I only time that I considered maybe there was who was the GOAT, it was the Chris Cyborg. And what type of what she had over her, energy, what people thought of her. And she starched her and she made it a war. Like she took that fight personal, and you can tell, and start Cyborg. And after that, just knowing MMA and the women who had potential to fight, I'm like, it's downhill. It wasn't her fault that fights were going downhill. She's starching them all, or the skill level wasn't there.
Yeah, they just had to have somebody to throw in there at her, is what it seemed like. It was a sacrificial lamb thing every time that she was fighting. Cyborg, I don't put her up there as GOAT status just because she didn't fight a lot of top women's fighters, because she was in other leagues. She fought who they put in front of her, of course, but we never got to see the Rousey, the Tate, the big names like that. I think Cyborg even got popped for steroids once. So there's a lot of asterisks and stains around her.
Right.
So what do you say for Cyborg fans and Amanda Nunes haters that say that Amanda has those 5 losses and Cyborg only has 2 losses, who try to make the argument for Cyborg being the GOAT?
Exactly what I just said.
The skill gap.
That, and she never fought top people. When Cyborg fought top people like Nunes, she lost.
Exactly.
She never fought Rousey. She never fought Tate. She never fought Andrade or, Holly Holm, any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me pull up Cyborg's record here. Let's see if there's any names that I'm missing here.
Go ahead, Steve. What were you saying?
I guess Cyborg can be an organization. She went to another organization and became the bully of that. And actually, you can't even say it's her fault, because she had complications with Dana, and I think that's what kicked her out of the UFC. So I guess she could have stayed in there, but regardless, she didn't fight the top like I think Amanda Nunes has.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wrong. She did beat Holly Holm.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was I'm
Amanda
pretty sure it was
Nunes.
pretty underwhelming too, that fight, if I can recall.
Yeah, Cyborg fought Holm, but like
Oh,
look,
okay.
look at it. Cyborg's records. Like I'm just gonna name off people. See if you know any of them. Arlene Lincrow, Sinead Kavanaugh, Leslie Smith, Arlene again, Julia Budd, Felicia Spencer, lost to Nunez, beat Yana, beat Holly Holm, beat Tanya Evinger, Lisa Landsberg, Leslie Smith again. Like there's nobody that you can even say is a top women's fighter in there except for Holm and Nunez. And I mean, I guess she's 1-1 against big names.
Yeah. I was just trying to play devil's advocate. I believe that Amanda Nunes is the GOAT, but you got some people that still try to say Cyborg. But, my argument is, like you said, who is Cyborg actually face? Her level of competition was, definitely on a lesser level than Amanda Nunes. Starts everyone. Then she, like you said, she avenged her losses. And I think it's, no way you can deny Nunes's GOAT status, and was defending belts in 2 divisions. And that kind of transitions me to the next question. You think they're gonna retire that featherweight belt? I mean, because it's really no division. See, that was one thing that was kind of a bad thing about that Nunes and Cyborg fight. Even though it was awesome to see, it kind of staggered the growth of that featherweight division. Because I think they're gonna actually try to build a division if Cyborg held under that belt, but there really is no featherweight division.
Right. Yeah, I say close that division. Pretty much every woman that was fighting in that division was moving up. That's all they were doing. I mean, it was same chicks, just different weight class.
Yeah, I agree. They always got to do something outside of the means of what they have. They have to get people from other organizations to even entertain a fight, or maybe even pay a fighter extra, probably to go up in weight. And it seems like they have to do extra work for that weight class. So I can say maybe in saving money, or maybe potentially open up a new division if they get rid of it. But I doubt that.
See, I'm kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum. I think they should actually try to make a featherweight division, even though I feel like Bellator has more of the talented featherweights. I mean, if you could actually find the featherweights out there with the skill, you could kind of like market that as like the women's version of a heavyweight division, because the 45 is going to hit hard. I feel like they should still try to go out and get Kayla Harrison and build a division around her, because she's made 45 for, even though she fights at 55 somehow. They've been finding people to fight her there over at PFL. I don't know how, but I think you could go and try to make the division, and there's more fights that you could put it on, but we'll see how that shakes out. I don't know. Like Amar was saying, I don't know if the retirement will stick, but if it does, then hats off to the GOAT, Amanda Nunes.
A lot of people don't get to do how she did it and get out on top like she did. She's I guess she did it right. Out of men or women's, she went out pretty good.
Yep.
So, which moves us to, well, before we get into that, let's talk about our picks. So I went 5-0 with my picks. Steve went 3-2, and Admire went 0-5, which puts us for the year. I'm 10-5. Steve is 7-8, and Admire is 2-13.
Wow.
So you got some catching up to do, Admire.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I say it every time. Bet opposite of me, and you'll make money.
Yeah. So before Nunes even retired, I threw this topic out in our chat saying, so we could we don't do this every month, but we want to kind of do our pound for pound every now and then. And I wanted to do all women's, but this is before we found out Amanda Nunes retired. So this is going to make our list interesting, because I'm going to say we can't include Nunes on it because she's retired. So let's do our pound for pound top 5 women, and I'll kick it off. I got at my number 5 spot, I got who a woman who's supposed to be fighting Nunes this weekend. I got Juliana Pena at my number 5 spot, and I guess she'll probably be fighting for the vacant belt since Amanda Nunes retired. I don't know who they put her against, but it'll be interesting. I think she probably will win it because I think she's probably the second best woman in that division. So that's my number 5. I'll kick it off to you, Am I? Who you got at your number 5?
Number 5. Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Juliana Pena is up there, number 5 for me.
Steve?
And you're talking about top 5 pound per pound for women, all weight class.
Yep.
Oh, and Amanda Nunes is out, right?
Yep, she's out.
Okay. I'm looking at the list. And you're saying who's number
on your
1?
top 5. On your
Or
top
top
5
5.
personal pound for pound.
Yeah, who's your number 5?
I would say Alexa Grasso, number 5.
She's all the way down at number 5. Oh, that's interesting. I'm curious to see
I'm looking at it now just because I base that just because she just became champion. All these other people that I'm looking at the list now, everybody else became champion. Or achieved it. So that's why what I based it off of.
I respect it. You mixing it up. Got her at number 5. So we'll move on to my number 4 pick. We hadn't seen her in a little while in the strawweight division. She has a win over the champion. I got Rose Namajunas at my number 4 spot.
Can't be mad at that. But yeah, my number 4 goes to Grasso as well. And not to jump ahead, but Thug Rose is going to be my number 3. So you guys are nailing mine as we move through them.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your number 4, Steve?
I could say Whaley.
Okay.
Zhang Whaley, number 4.
Wow. At number 4.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I like how Steve's list is shaking out so far. Curious to see his top 3. My number 3, we already had Amber's number 3. He said Alexa Grasso. My number 3 is the former flyweight champion. I got Valentina Shevchenko at my number 3 spot. Who you got at number 3, Steve?
Who I got at my number 3 would be Juliana.
Okay.
Pena.
Okay. You think she'll end up winning the belt if she fights for the vacant title, or?
I do.
I can see it. The way that she got a win off of Nunes, and she was actually getting with her. Amanda Nunes was dominating everybody, so I say she's the only one to have a chance to get it right now.
Okay. So who you got at number 2, Admire?
I got Zhang at number 2.
Oh, I'm curious to see your number 1. Who you got at number 2, Steve?
Rose.
Thug Rose.
Thug Rose.
What's going on with her? Is she injured? She hasn't fought in a while, has she?
It's been a while.
I thought she was lined up and the fight got canceled or something.
Yeah, Google that real quick, Admire, because I don't know what's going on with Thug Rose. And
let's see.
No, it wasn't Wei Lee. What was her last fight? Pena? No, not Pena. Carla Esparza.
That was but if that was the dud of a fight, that might have been her last fight. That was terrible.
That was her. Yeah, that was her last fight, and it was still a split decision, but it was kind of a stinker.
Yeah, it was a dud, and somehow she thought, I don't know, fighters be in another world in there because she was actually complaining.
She thought she was winning.
Something. And I was like, whoa, that was a dud.
Yeah, she did not do enough in that fight. I thought she won it, but if you're barely doing anything, you can't be mad if you lost the fight.
Yeah, her attitude though was like she thought she decisively won that fight.
Definitely not. But
yeah,
I don't know what kind. Go ahead, Steve.
sort of like what Yoel Romero would do. It's like
Him and Adesanya's fight, that was a terrible one.
yeah, and he swore up and down he did enough.
Well, my number 2 is the flyweight champion. She may be a little bit high, but she beat Valentina. I got Alexa Grasso at my number 2 spot. And she might lose that spot really quickly because I think they're going to do an immediate rematch between her and Valentina. But beat the woman that was so dominant. So right now I got Alexa at my number 2. We go to number 1s. I'll let you kick it off, Admire. Who's your number 1?
Valentina's my number 1. I think she comes back, and I think she beats Grasso.
That's what leaves me left is Valentina. In my
really okay.
Yeah,
I can't get mad at that.
Yeah.
Some people said it was kind of fluky the way she lost because people had her winning until Grasso got that submission. But
yeah, just Valentina's been she's been so dominant for so long and stuff, and I mean, I can't say it was fluky, but it was out of character of her to get caught like that, and I don't think it happens again. I think she gets it back and she goes on, the same run that she was on.
And that's what I'm saying. She had a shitload of those wins in a row, right? Although we can look at things out of perspective of the rankings of it's now, I don't think Alex Grasso has the background of fighters that Valentina went through. I mean, she even went through Amanda Nunes and put up a good fight. Ended up losing still, but yeah, Grasso, she's has a good record, whatever, but to be above Valentina, I mean, she put the work in, man, and we've seen it.
Yeah, with Valentina, we'll see how she bounces back. What's the shame that we didn't get that third fight between her and Nunes? I think that I was always interested in seeing how that would happen after Shevchenko went on that run at flyweight.
Yeah, we sure didn't talk about that as far as like what was left with her. That was her only option I can see. Valentina fight if she stayed in MMA.
She's got to avenge that loss, and she'll probably end up winning the rematch. But you never know in MMA. It's a weird sport at times. But my number 1 is Wei Li. Even though I think if her and Rose face each other, I think Rose may win because it's just a bad matchup. But I think Wei Li is the champion of the most deep division they have. I feel like strawweight is the deepest division, so that's my number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Did they say who Wei Li's gonna face next?
Dang, she's been silent on that. I haven't heard from UFC or Dana saying anything.
Because her last fight was the Esparza fight, wasn't it? When she got the belt back.
Yeah.
Yep, last fight was Esparza.
I'd have to take a look to see.
And she won her rematch with Nama Nunes. So
yeah.
No, hold up. She didn't face. She only faced Nama Nunes once, right?
I thought they went twice.
I thought they went twice. She knocked her out with that easy head kick she didn't see coming, and then they ran it back. And I think
Rose won
Wei
twice.
Li ended up winning.
Hold up, Rose won twice. I want to say.
You might be right on that one. Definitely the first one, and I think she beat her twice. Yeah, it was a decision too.
Yeah,
and yeah, you're right. Definitely.
Pull up Rose's record real quick, Admire, because I might be mixing them up.
So
Wei Li does have a fight scheduled August against Amanda Lemos.
Interesting. Well, that can't be headlining the card. That must be like
it's a co-main event. It is a co-main event. So Rose,
pull up Rose's record.
Rose beat her twice. The first time was the head kick KO. The second time was the split decision. Yeah, the stinker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the stinker was the Esparza.
Esparza.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, even though Wei Li's my number 1, Rose got 2 wins over her. So I want to see them run that back a third time because Rose might beat her again. Rose is a gamer, man. But Rose, for some reason, she's got Esparza's got her number for some weird reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know when Rose beat, Joanna twice, and after the first one when she TKO'd her, it seems like that version of Rose has not come out again. I mean, that was just violence. I mean, that was a perfect plan and everything. The second Joanna fight was a decision. I mean, it was good. She did great in there, but there was something about that first one that Rose had this killer instinct that she hasn't really brought back out yet.
I always think it's just whatever opponent she gets, like, because she's good at like countering, and if she gets a stand-up person, she could usually get pretty technical. But I think she was afraid of Esparza's wrestling for some reason. Maybe that was in the back of her mind because of their first fight. But I'm curious to see if she has her head in the game. Rose is definitely up there as far as pound for pound women. She just has to have her head in the game.
Definitely.
But yeah, that transitions us to a new segment we're gonna do, and I'm gonna let Admire take over this. Beyond the Cage, something new we find out. So
Yeah, just to give it a little preface, I was thinking about it. We talk about all the fighters and stuff. We just stick to mostly the fights. We don't talk about some of the good or the bad that they do outside the cage. So, I don't know how many listeners we actually have, but there's maybe some new people that don't even know some of them old fighters and know what they've done. So what made me think of it was Joe Rogan was talking about when Matt Serra, basically there was a guy in the mall going crazy. Matt Serra took this dude down and dismounted him, didn't punch him, didn't hit him, was just restraining the guy, and the guy was going nuts. But, that's one of the good things we don't hear about fighters outside of the cage. It's always the bad they do, so anybody listening, if you don't know about the Matt Serra thing, I won't go through the whole story, but that's the long and the short of it. Guy was going crazy at the mall in the food court, and he restrained him. I was going to come up with something else for Beyond the Cage, but seems we had something happen this week with Conor McGregor outside of the cage again. He's frequently in the headlines. Do you guys know about this one with Conor McGregor? What's going on?
Inform me.
Yeah,
he was at the basketball game, the Miami Heat game, and McGregor's endorsing a new a pain reliever spray that you spray on your body. I don't know all about it. I just know that's what he's endorsed. That's his new big his business that he's in. He's got his hand in a little bit of everything. So he's doing a pain reliever spray now. And the Heat mascot came out with gold boxing gloves and all that. And it was just a promo for his product. And Connor threw a fucking left on this mascot and really seriously hurt the dude. Like, if you were doing a promo, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they had he was in the whole fucking. I think it's a bird. I can't remember what the Heat's mascot's called, but I think it's a bird. But it was in the big mascot thing, and Connor decked him with a left. Didn't pull the punch, didn't set it up and make it look fake or anything. And the guy ended up going to the hospital with a head injury.
Damn.
Really?
So, I mean, it's like McGregor can't stay out of the headlines. And there's people on social media defending him. Of course, you're going to have two sides to it. And people defending him are saying, well, he's a fighter, man. He doesn't throw soft punches. He throws, he's trained to throw. Bullshit. If an MLB pitcher is playing catch with his 5-year-old son, he's not throwing heaters, you
Right.
pull it back. So, that's one thing in the news, going on outside the cage, McGregor, the outside the cage won't always be good or bad. It's just something that maybe from the past, maybe something recent, but it just happened to happen when we wanted to bring this in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what to say about this guy. So I guess they were trying to set it up as him playing around, and then he just got riled up and didn't hold back on his punch.
Yeah, because so the gimmick was supposed to be he knocks out the mascot and then sprays him. He sprayed him with the spray, and it's supposed to make him better. It's supposed to be the pain reliever. But yeah, it was supposed to be a fake punch, but it wasn't.
Yeah, you add this to the list of lawsuits that McGregor's probably got to deal with, because I know this mascot's probably seeing dollar signs in his eyes. He really got hurt. But I mean, like we kind of talked about in the last podcast, that to be great at fighting, you gotta have that screw loose in your head. But I think Conor just doesn't know when to cut it on and cut it off. Like he's starting to morph into that actual Money McGregor character in real life, which is
he's becoming the villain that he played. Like, why would you throw your hardest shot at a mascot just doing a promo, just playing around? Like, that's just a dick move. That's just, I don't know. But it also, that's the McGregor way. Get more eyes on him. Now he's in the headlines. He's in the news. He's on the new season of Ultimate Fighter. So it ultimately it helps him. It gets more eyes on him. It gets more viewership. Is anything going to happen to him? No. He might have to pay a little bit of money, but money's one thing he does have.
Yeah, I would figure the height of his career where you figure somebody would be as far as this cancel culture coming on, him decking that old man. But after that, I'm like, what else can he do besides a big felony crime, Like he's gotten away with a lot already. I mean, I can see how that's messed up. To give him credit, maybe the mascot's helmet, whatever, he thought it would have much cushion, but still, I wouldn't have threw a full deck punch, you know what I'm saying, to his face.
Yeah. And I kind of wish somebody like John Jones would talk to McGregor and just be like, look, man, you got to calm down. You're going to lose everything, because Jones has been through it. He's overcome it. But I think at this point, Conor's one, bigger than everybody else in the UFC, so he's not going to listen. And two, he's burned a lot of bridges with people that could probably talk to him and help him in the UFC.
I mean, I don't even know if John Jones would be the best person giving advice. He's got a lot going on. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I don't know.
Just a little, dude, calm down. John Jones could say, look, you've seen everything I've been through, man. And, I had to overcome this. But I think McGregor is just one of those people that now he has that you can't fuck with me attitude. I've been watching the kid fight since he was like in ONE FC or whatever it was. And he used to be just a quiet, humble guy and come from the streets, poor, all that. And the money's gone to this dude's head. It would go to my head too a little bit, but not complete dickhead level.
I think it starts from the top as well, because you got your boss that's enabling it. They don't punish McGregor at all. Matter of fact, McGregor pretty much gets away what he wants, and Dana's out there criticizing champions that are doing the right thing. So if you have a boss that doesn't reprimand you and you got all this money, you pretty much feel like you could do whatever you want without any repercussions.
Yeah. So I was going to bring this up. I was on the car ride to the airport this morning. I was thinking about it. I wanted to bring it up during this talk. Is UFC the one sport where you can get away with, most shit? Like, if that was an NFL player doing all the shit that McGregor's done, or NFL player doing what John Jones done, I don't think they would be in the league anymore. I think they would be, banished, or even if it was a baseball player or basketball player.
I can agree with that, but I can say maybe the difference why is maybe independent self-contracting. I guess the way they look at fighting. So I guess that's how they can move around. It's almost like a free market type of thing. And you're able to get away with certain things. Now, if you did a hideous crime that is looks super bad on the UFC, oh yeah, they'll drop you in a second. But Dana, I guess if he sees money, he's gonna keep his investment.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, if you're a top fighter, you get away with it, because I mean, the comparison I'll use is like a fighter like Jason Hyde that was in the UFC. Dana White kicked him out and banned him from the UFC for pushing a referee. Now that's light compared to some of the stuff the other fighters have done that are still there. But I guess if you're bringing in the money, Dana kind of downplays it and overlooks it.
Depending who you are. I think Big Belly. Well,
Derek
Nelson
Lewis?
did it. No, Roy Nelson. He pushed the ref because he had to finish off a fighter where he felt like it should have been over, and I think Dana got upset about that, but I don't know if he left the UFC after that or still kept him. I can't remember.
Who was Roy Nelson fighting? I remember that. It was like he was just beating the shit out of him, and then
Yeah. And then he
it
flicked
was
the ref off.
it was a weird stoppage. I can't remember who it was. It was I think it was when he fought Crow Cop.
It may have been. I can't remember. But I remember that fight where he was beating up somebody and he got upset. Ref didn't stop it. Dang.
Yeah.
Compilation of fights, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Steve was talking about, maybe it's because they're independent contractors. Maybe that's a little bit of the reason why they don't come down. But I feel like they pick and choose on what they want to release people for.
Mm-hmm.
The main reason why they're considered independent contractors because they don't want to give them benefits or anything. We all know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
they pick and choose on who they cut. I guess if you not bringing anything to the table monetarily, then they'll cut you for something small. But if you're McGregor, it's bringing in the bucks, you can just run Rapshot in the company and do whatever you want.
Yeah. You would figure somebody jumping over in the cage, even as a celebrity, that would somehow go into your sanctioning as a fighter at that, but nothing happened there. Or McGregor actually went in the ring and pushed the ref. Remember that?
Yeah, it was like, wasn't that Bellator he did that?
Yeah. And I think how that still works. I mean, if you're interfering like that, I mean, I think that has to even deal with your boxing license. Interfering with a event, but who knows?
Oh, the Roy Nelson thing. I just found it. He kicked John McCarthy in the ass.
Yeah,
Remember Big John?
I
It's when
remember.
he knocked out. It's when he knocked out Arlovsky.
Mhm. Yep, I remember.
And he kicked the ref in the butt.
It was a soft one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a full blast one. It was just he pulled back on it.
Did he get in trouble for that?
I think he. I think Dana said something like he didn't like that.
Was that Arlovsky that he fought? I remember he kicked John. Man, I'm pretty sure it was Arlovsky. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
good segment, Amar. Looking forward to doing that again in the future. We'll come up with some good stuff, I'm sure. But that takes us to this week in MMA history. Let's see if y'all remember this card. This is June 9th, 2018. UFC 225. This one was headlined by Robert Whitaker and Yoel Romero too. I know that's one of your favorite fighters, Steve Romero.
Yeah,
Y'all have any recollection of this fight?
I kind of mix up 1 and 2, but
Me
yeah, I
too.
do remember it. Um, I sometimes forget which fight. You know, which one was the knockdowns, either the fight 1 or 2, but definitely remember it.
yeah, I remember this fight card. The prelims were just absolutely stacked on this fight card. I remember that.
Yeah.
Rashad Evans, Anthony Smith, Joseph Benavidez. He used to be one of my favorite fighters, and Charles Oliveira that we were just talking about was on there, and Dan Ige was on there on just the prelims.
And
damn, that was pretty good.
And that was the early prelims.
Yeah, that was the early prelims. Also, your current Bellator bantamweight champion Sergio Pettis and Joseph Benavidez fought on the early. That was just the early prelim.
Dang, that was a stacked one.
And then going to the regular prelims, Chris De La Rocha, Rashad Coulter, Miss Rod. I feel like the people on the regular prelim should have probably been on the early prelims. But then you had Claudia Gadelha defeating Carla Esparza. That was the second to last prelim. And Curtis Blades and Overeem, that was on the prelims. That's crazy.
Yeah, Overeem. I mean, he's been a staple of MMA, in the top ranks for like 20 years, man. And he was on the prelims.
So,
but then who opened up the card?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. What do y'all think about the curtain jerker for this one? You had Mr. Chick Magnet, CM Punk versus Mike Jackson in the opener of this one.
Oh damn, I forgot that one.
What a failed experiment CM Punk was in MMA.
how can you have all that training and still look like you was a little
Look
boy
like you've never
fighting
gotten a fight.
a It was bad.
It,
And not only that, on top of that, you're a wrestler, which pertains being to tough, but getting the actual realm, he did a lot of damage to himself doing that. And seeing like you ever seen those fights, street fights or anywhere where you see somebody getting controlled so bad and couldn't do nothing about it? Like little bro, big brother thing. Um,
yeah.
how can you have all that training? And it was just terrible seeing that. And
And I think if I remember right, CM Punk was training up at Rufus Sport with Duke Rufus, which is
yeah,
a great gym that the Pettis brothers come from. Like
mhm.
he had some of the best training, and he still looked like he'd never fought a day in his life.
Yeah.
And his gimmick in wrestling is he's supposed to be the best in the world. He looked like a third grader fighting in that. It
Hold
was
Yeah, he
on.
bad.
fought Mike. Yeah, he fought Mike Jackson on that one, but the fight before that, CM Punk fought Mickey Gall, and Mickey Gall just he big brothered him on that one.
Yeah, I think it was Mickey Gall, but I don't know which one. But do you remember when before he went in the cage, he did this little WWE thing to where, before they get in the cage, be like Stone Cold, they look at the crowd, and then he went in and then ended up getting his ass kicked and try to look cool before he going in the that shit was hilarious to me. I was like, that's what you get. You got your ass kicked trying to do that WWE stuff in
And,
UFC.
and then but people don't remember a lot. He did win that first round somehow, and then it
Oh
was
yeah,
all
I
over
remember
after.
he threw that punch and Mickey Gall just ducked right under and took him down.
Oh, well, I was talking about the Mike Jackson fight.
Okay.
He won.
Uh,
He got his ass completely kicked in the Mickey Gall fight, but in this Mike Jackson fight, he won the first round, and it was all downhill from there.
Dana got upset at him because Michael Jackson didn't finish it. If I didn't remember, he said he was playing with him, and that's why he kicked him out of the UFC.
Then he ended up coming back for some reason though.
And then got his butt kicked, and then got kicked out again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
Dana
mean,
don't like him.
it's the money thing. CM Punk was bringing a lot of, wrestling fans over just to watch him fight that. And then
Mm-hmm.
with this CM Punk Mike Jackson fight, it got turned into a no contest because Jackson tested positive for weed.
Mm-hmm.
Which is I don't even think you get in trouble for that in the UFC now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that tells you how long, short, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Y'all ever think we'll see a circus fight like that again?
I hope, dude, I got a soft spot for circus fights. I like that shit.
In the UFC though, you'll probably see it somewhere else. You think UFC will do something like that again?
I can't say we can't because look at Brock Lesnar.
I mean, but he's legit combat athlete. He was the UFC heavyweight champion.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like maybe if Kurt Angle didn't have them all the injuries, he said he would entertain it. We
Man,
need to have somebody in wrestling that might entertain going to the UFC that has some type of combat or grappling background, like in
Bobby
school.
Lashley.
that would be interesting.
Mhm.
But I don't consider that circus because these people actually fought in MMA. I'm saying like somebody with no experience, like CM Punk. You think like they'll get a Paul brother to fight in UFC?
That's gonna be a hard one. I can't think of
Yeah.
anybody. I think that might have been one time in a generation. We won't see that for a while.
Yeah, I don't think we probably won't see that again. I mean, the closest crossover that they might get in the future is maybe a Matt Riddle comes back, but him and Dana don't see eye to eye, so I doubt that'll happen.
Mm.
Yeah, and I
But
think he got canned over weed too.
yeah,
Mm.
he's a big pothead. But I don't
Oh
know.
man.
But besides that circus fight, it was some other bangers on this card. Yeah, Tai Tuivasa beating Andre Arlovsky, Holly Holm fighting in that non-existent featherweight division we were talking about. She beat Megan Anderson. And then your boy Kobe Covington defeating RDA in the co-main event on that one.
Oh yeah, Brazil.
Yeah, I
You
think
asked
that's where
where it
Colby
starts.
really started to blow up and make a name.
That wasn't. I don't think this was the one where he was in Brazil. That was. I think that might have been a fight before that when he would
Oh,
call them
okay.
like filthy animals or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Admire said, this is when Covington was starting to really blow up.
Mm.
Yeah, he really hit the map there. Then Robert Whitaker is such a weird fighter to me. It's like the dude shows so much greatness sometimes, and then sometimes not. Not as recent, but back then, I mean, he was on a pretty good run, and Yoel Romero is just a beast. If you can beat him, you're a good fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Romero, he's in Bellator right now, isn't
Yeah, I think he has a fight coming up. But
he? He's almost ageless, man. He's like what 45, and he still looks like he's built out of granite.
yeah, they
He's
said
40. He's 46.
That's crazy. Somebody needs to test his blood just to see if he has the fountain of youth in his blood, if he doesn't have steroids in there.
or if he's donating it, somebody's gonna get invigorated. Feel good all of a sudden.
Yeah, if somebody wants to build a badass army, replicate that guy. Like stamina, we did see him gas a little bit against like Tim Kennedy, but Yoel Romero, for having muscles, had quite a bit of stamina and crazy moves, flipping and rolling around, and he's had every kind of knockout there was. He's had the head kick knockouts, tons of TKOs. I wish he would have won a belt. I'm sure he'll do great in Bellator.
Yeah, a lot of fighters said his bones density, even his muscle mass, he has a very hard body to kick or to and even inflict pain on. And it seems like when you do it to him, he doesn't get hurt. So he's a very hard person to hit without feeling like you're hurting your leg or something.
Sometimes he seems kind of shy, like he can't pull the trigger either, though. It just that was more recent. He went on a 4-fight losing streak. He lost to Robert Whitaker, Paulo Costa, Adesanya, and Phil Davis, but now he's back on, 2 wins. He did beat Melvin Manhoff, which has been around MMA for like 30 years. I think he was in one of the original Prides.
Mm.
Yeah. Right, Steve?
But given the credit he is, I wouldn't totally chill on him for winning that Melvin Manhoff because he's up there in age, and he's still beating young cats. So, like he said, he's an anomaly. Like Joe Rogan said, he's a freak of nature.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, Romero's other wins. I mean, he's beat Rockhold, Weidman, Jacare Souza. He beat Machida, Tim Kennedy, Brad Tavares, Derek Brunson. I mean, he's got a whole list of killers.
Highlights too.
That he's beat.
A lot of those are highlight wins.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on Romero. Like, I barely watch Bellator. They're behind that Showtime paywall, but when I do get to watch it, I always enjoy watching his fights. So we'll see.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Well, that brings us to the clip of the month. So this clip of the month that I'm going to show is kind of a redemption for myself. So a few weeks back, I was watching a UFC fight night, and I see Joaquin Buckley fighting, and I'm like, hold up. Weren't we just talking about him on a pay-per-view show we just did a couple weeks back? And so I look, because we were like talking about a guy kicking. I'm like, let me go back and listen. And I listened to the clip. And I'm like, oh man, because I was talking about that kick that he did, but then I went back and listened to the clip. And we were talking about Chaos Williams, so I confused Chaos Williams with Joaquin Buckley. And I'm like, oh man, people gonna think I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. My bad. We all don't look alike. So it was actually that kick I was talking about was Joaquin Buckley. So this is going to be a little redemption. I'm going to show that kick that he did, the first click. There we go. That one right here. We all remember this kick that Joaquin Buckley did.
That was so sweet.
That kick was sick. So I just wanted to give the man his props where he's true. It wasn't Chaos Williams. It was Joaquin Buckley. And let's watch it one more time. Boom.
I don't think we'll ever see.
too.
We'll never
We in the
see a
same
knockout
boat.
like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so-
that was a beautiful one.
Yeah, so that same card where he fought a couple weeks ago, so I'm gonna cheat and do a 2-for-1. Let's show the knockout he did at that card that happened like 2 weeks ago. Give him his props and give him a 2-for-1. Head kick,
That was nice.
done. So I just wanted to give the man Joaquin Buckley his props. It was Joaquin Buckley, not Chaos Williams. My bad.
Hey, like I said last show, man, we're not professionals. We don't have all the stats in front of us and somebody feeding us info. We're just going off the top.
Man,
Yeah.
there's so many fights. You'll associate a highlight KO with somebody else just because it's similar. And be like, oh man, my bad, wrong person. Yeah, man, that's what it is.
Joaquin Buckley, though, he's a jack dude. If he could put it together, like I feel like he could put some high level, exciting fights in the future. Like he just got that knockout a couple weeks back. That was on a fight night. So put this man on the opening of a pay-per-view instead of Eric Anders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that brings us to, I don't know. I hadn't really looked at any upcoming fights. Any upcoming fights in between the next pay-per-view 290 that are on your radar?
Let me see what we got.
Only thing I really saw was who's fighting. It's a fight night happening. It's Jared Cannonier versus Vittori. That's the only really thing that I've seen. They got an ABC card coming up too, but it's like Josh Emmett headlining that. You putting that on network TV, Josh Emmett. No disrespect to Josh Emmett, but I don't know. If we're not doing anything, maybe we'll do a bonus card because usually the ABC is a pretty big card, but I don't know. If we're busy, then we probably won't do a bonus episode for that.
Yeah, there's a fight night coming up, the one you mentioned, Vittori against Cannonier. I'll still watch it, but there's not a lot of star power on this one. I think there's 3 ranked fighters from the bottom to the top of the card.
And pull up that ABC card real quick, because like I said, I think it's Emmett headlining that. I think it's the week after the Vittori card, or 2 weeks or so. And
yeah, Emmett against Tapuria. Let's just see what's on that card. Amanda Ribas is fighting Macy Barber on that one, women's flyweight.
That's Macy Barber. That's one of those women that they want to make the face the division. She's a little young. She's like 25, but she hadn't really, took that next step. So that'll be interesting, I guess.
Yeah, and on that fight card, Neil Magny is headlining the prelims on that one. He's always a good watch. Other than that, there's not much else on that card either.
From what I've looked up, it's not going to get saucy until we get to the
290
Aljamain or the Gaethje.
No, it's
or
the two.
Is it Volk and Rodriguez?
Yeah, Volkanovski 290. We'll be back to preview that next month, but not really a lot in between then. So
yeah.
There's another fight night. Sean Strickland against Abus Magomedov. That one looks like not a lot on that card either.
Yeah, they're like oversaturated a little bit. Like I like watching fights if I have nothing to do, but they're putting on some real head scratchers and with like nobodies on these cards. Not to disrespect any fighters, says you gotta have a certain quality about yourself to get in the cage, something I don't have. But man, like the name value isn't there with some of these fight night cards. They're just putting fights on for the fight's sake because of that ESPN money, man.
Yeah, UFC 290 is coming up. Volkanovski versus Rodriguez. It's a pretty decent card. You got Brandon Moreno on there. We got Robert Whitaker that we were just talking about. Whitaker's taking on Duplessis. That should be a good fight.
Yeah.
Dan Hooker and Jalen Turner. Robbie Lawler is headlining the prelims on that against Nico Price. Yeah, there's some decent stuff on that one.
Oh, yeah. We'll be back to preview that in depth next month. But y'all got anything before we get on out of here, guys?
Well, I'll say one more thing. If you're talking about outside of MMA, Terrence and Errol Spence. Poirier, not Poirier and Gaethje. I'm sorry, Nate and I almost forgot about Nate and Jake Paul. So
yeah, well, we'll have an announcement in regard to the show about that for next month. So
I wanted to bring up. We talked about it the other day that we should see Deontay Wilder and Francis Ngannou. They should do one fight in the cage, one in boxing. We talked about that, and 2 days later, it popped up. That's exactly what Wilder's trying to get done. Wilder has sent 2 contracts to Francis Ngannou, one in the cage, one in the ring.
That'd be crazy.
Well, we already know the outcome. Wilder's going to get destroyed in the cage, and Ngannou's going to get destroyed in the ring. But it'll be entertaining, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I almost think that Ngannou might just he might try to prove a point and stand in the cage and trade, and maybe he gets caught there. Ngannou, for sure could take him down, beat him on the ground, but will he? Does he just try to prove himself? I don't know. Be interesting. Let's see if they sign it.
But even if they're in a cage, Wilder doesn't know to do anything with kick. If Ngannou kicks him, it's good night for Wilder.
They're probably gonna do some type of claws or something, or what type of kicks.
Yeah, there'll probably be something fishy or fugazi with the clauses they put in the contract, which is stupid. But it'll definitely be interesting.
I hope they get it done.
Anything else, fellas, before we get out of here?
That's it. Let's wrap it up.
Well, we appreciate for all the listeners listening on podcast form, people tuning in live, and we'll be back next month to preview and review UFC 290. Until next time, be safe out there. Later.
Jay's probably running to his computer to shut it off. Let me pull up Twitch. Are we still on? Yep.
We're all looking at Twitch. I guess you're still seeing us up here.
Jay, run to the computer. Shut us down. There it is.